Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an absolutely awesome show for you guys today. Something we've been talking about for the past couple weeks. It's a Close the Book episode. All right, we did it a little bit earlier a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I think so. Then the past couple weeks we've done AFC, NFC playoff talk. So now we're peeling back. We're scooting back a little bit. We're going to talk about the teams that are not in the running this year. We have 4 teams up, and if you read the description, you already know what teams it are. But we're going to pretend like it's a mystery. I'm going to have a good buddy of mine come in. Chris, we're going to talk. Me and Chris are going to talk Lions, right? So he's wearing the Lions jersey. He was not here for this interview, so it's just me and him. And that actual interview went a little long. So if you're a Lions fan or just like generally interested in like a deep dive on the Lions, check it out on the YouTube channel. I'm going to post that like in a separate video because that just went a lot longer than we anticipated. I told him 10 to 15 minute conversation. Ended up going over 30, so hey, it was great. Yeah. It was really in depth, a lot of fun. Are you excited, man? You ready to go?
Let's bring it on.
All right, we gotta do a little bit of housekeeping here. First of all, thank you, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Everything that you've heard in any other video you've watched, do that for us too. But more importantly, our shots. You didn't see anybody do shots here, and there's a reason.
Off air,
and we also didn't come up with our shot bet on air last week, so it was that combined with the fact that last night the Eagles got a backdoor cover with a meaningless Hail Mary touchdown and 2-point conversion.
Meaningless.
In the last 11 seconds of the game.
Garbage. I've learned that if I make a bet, I'm going to get fucked on it. A DeAndre Hopkins Hail Mary over three dudes. I think we shaved some yards on a guy one time, and he hit that just barely because the yards that I took away on the shave. And now this with the Eagles. My God. I turned the game off at 2 minutes left thinking, it's in the bag. I have actual money on this, too. I just felt that confident that Seattle was winning by 6.5 or more, and they were. And then John calls me at the end of the game. As soon as he calls me,
you're playing with your son.
He's like, motherfucker, it hit. That he would not be calling me to tell me congratulations. I know that for sure. So yeah.
You guys have to understand.
Garbage.
I thought it was over. Like it was over. I had to take 3 shots on air.
2
whatever.
Minutes left and
I don't
Seattle
care.
had the ball knee.
2 minutes left. He had the ball. It was over. It was fine.
Only hurts when I think about it.
And this is not the first time that Jacob has lost a shot bet on a Hail Mary. It is only the first time he's lost a shot bet on a meaningless Hail Mary. He also lost, as he alluded to, the amazing DeAndre Hopkins catch. And I believe that's the last time I called you about one of our shot bets.
That's how I knew.
Before last night.
As soon as you called me, it was
amazing.
Like, they came back.
Absolutely amazing. But because of that, Jacob wanted to do shots on his own time, so we let him do that. So he's not struggling to get home tonight. And my one shot, because he got to do it, I let him choose my shot, and you gave me gold tequila that has been in my fridge for God knows how long, because who drinks gold tequila? Not this family.
I know,
not me.
It.
He let me salt the rim and put lemon or like lime juice in the shot to make it like a little bit bearable.
Always looking out for
But
it.
I struggled with that one, guys. You guys have seen me struggle with these shots before. Really struggled with that. I'm glad I didn't have to do that one on air. Hey, let's get to the show, because that's what hopefully people are here to listen to. Let's get to our first team that we are closing the book on. All right, it's over. This is the last time we are going to talk about them until the NFL season has finished. And let's start with, look, we got 3 teams that you and I are going to talk about. Let's start with Carolina Panthers. How's that sound?
Yeah, I think overall it's been a really promising year for them. And I'm going to say that even with them having 3 wins, I've seen a lot, 4 wins actually.
It's 4 wins,
I've seen 4 and 8, but it's probably not going to get any better. Mathematically, yes, there is a wet dream somehow that they're able to slip in there, but they're not running the table here.
No.
It's just not happening. And you honestly don't want it to. You've seen what you need to see out of Teddy. I think that he has the prowess to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and even better than that at times. Receiving core looks great. CMC gets healthy. I think you need to really invest in your offensive line and let the young defense get to it. And, yeah, I mean, Matt Rule, you got time, and so far it's looking really good.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So this is a franchise that's seen a huge upheaval, right? A couple of years ago, the owner got fired for whatever happened. I don't remember exactly. But David Tepper, who was a partial owner for the Steelers, comes in and David Tepper, he saw the Steelers way, right? He saw a franchise that's only had 3 or 4 coaches in its entire career, and he wanted to make a change. Gave Riverboat Ron 1 year to kind of do something with the last year with Cam and everything. Didn't end up working out. They move on. They hire Matt Rule, give him a 7-year contract. This is year 1 of a 7-year contract. This is a rebuild year. We knew that based on pretty much everything, right? I mean, they don't go out and get like an expensive free agent and at quarterback. They go out and get a Teddy Bridgewater, who's a good quarterback. This is not a shit on Teddy Bridgewater thing at all. I'm just saying, like, he wasn't like compared to other quarterbacks, he wasn't like a high price free agent. You got to think this is a guy who, last seen really before last year, breaking his leg. We didn't know what he was going to be, essentially, is what I'm saying. And we just still don't know what he's going to be for the future of Carolina. Will he be there for 4 years, or will he be replaced by a young rookie this year? I don't know. But I think Matt Rule went in the right direction. Famously did not draft an offensive player in this past draft. Had a bunch of draft capital. They went all defense, and they hit on a couple of good players. Look, Derek Brown. There's going to be a video about Derek Brown coming out on this channel a couple days from now. Love what he's done. Look, slow start. Yeah, it's going to happen to these rookie defensive players that didn't really get a full training camp.
Overall, though, I've heard people say that he's a bust.
He's playing great. No, he's not a bust. He's playing better than Quinnen Williams was in his first year, and Quinnen Williams over the past couple of weeks has really come on. Look, defensive tackle is not an easy position in the NFL. It's not easy to get used to these NFL level guards because, I mean, really, that's one of the, I would argue, one of the biggest drop-offs from college to the NFL. A bad college lineman just can't hold a candle.
Pro talent will destroy in college against those nobodies.
Exactly.
You get to the NFL, everyone's as big as you.
Exactly. So he's still been dominant, a dominant run defender, especially, not getting after the pass a lot, but I think in this past game he had two quarterback pressures, hasn't gotten a sack yet, but a good player. But really the big hit of this draft, as far as like a flashy pick, is Jeremy Chin.
It was
Jeremy Chin, who, listen, the Vikings came out and won, so I don't have to I don't have to step on eggshells here. But in this past week, Jeremy Chin becomes the first player ever to have a fumble recovery, 2 fumble recoveries for a touchdown in the same game. And I guarantee you this stat will stand the test of time. The first player and probably the only player ever that will ever have a fumble recovery on consecutive plays.
Yeah.
Consecutive plays. That's ridiculous. I mean,
first snap out of halftime, Vikings were looking to control this game and get it going. Kirk Cousins strip sack, Chin picks it up. Second, when they come out and they're like, all right, we'll run it with Dalvin. Fumble. Jeremy Chin picks it up, takes it back. Talk about a turning point, man.
Yeah, in 2 plays, he got 2 fumble recoveries, 2 touchdowns, and 1 forced fumble. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And granted, look, you mentioned this and it's absolutely true. The first fumble recovery was just, right place, right time kind of thing. But hey, it doesn't matter. That's the stat sheet.
Counts as a touchdown.
Second one, he forced it, he picked it up, he ran
and then
it.
He took it.
So all him. Look, so they have some young talent. We're not going to go through their entire draft. But where are you looking for the future? This, to me, and I'll speak for me and then I'll let you go. I feel like this is a team that has untapped potential. I feel like they're going to come into this next draft. They're going to shore up the offensive line, which has some issues. They're probably going to attack the linebacker position, which could still use some pieces. They already have the quarterback that can manage the game. Check. They already have the run game. Check. They already have the wide receivers. Check. Shore up the defense, get some more defensive players, get another year of experience for these guys. I think 2021 could be a big year for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, if I'm Matt Rule and they have some cap to flirt with, I would look for some veteran O-linemen to bring in because I think you're going to need that, and you'd have some later picks on in your draft to get some young offensive linemen because you always take a few. It's just smart to do that. But looking at their top picks in the draft, I would go linebacker. I would look for cornerback as well. And guys that pop off to me, Micah Parsons out of Penn State is probably he is the number 1 linebacker in the class. Not even a question, yeah. If he is there, he's a great player. Looking at corner, Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn. 2 guys, I think the D-line looks awesome. A lot of good picks invested in that, and I really think you need some secondary help right now. Jeremy Chinn's looking awesome. He's a hit, but you got to get a cornerback in there.
Yeah,
and
they have one. They got one dude. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who's been playing really well. But you're absolutely right. They need to add some pieces there. Look, it's not a complete team. There's a reason we're closing the book on them. A 4-win team, but they've been competitive at times when we didn't expect them to be. They fought hard, and you look at the future for cap space. Look, they're not gonna blow. They're not gonna have a crazy cap year in 2021. The estimated cap total right now is $14 million. A little over $14 million. Yeah. We'll see how that actually shakes out. But for right now, they'll be able to make some moves. They have enough money to flirt around with, and I want to give a shout out to you, because we're talking about this, and I'm gonna own my mistake, man. I sat here before the season and said
Robbie
Anderson was not gonna hit. I said there's no way Robbie Anderson hits. And look, you talked about your bad beats on the shot bets. Our first shot bet, we didn't even plan it on that episode. Our first shot bet was Robbie Anderson over under whatever the yards were. Doesn't matter, and he would not have hit it if it weren't for like a 55-yard touchdown, a one play, and it was a blown coverage on the defense. That was it. And you hit it. Yeah, but I mean, look, I was kind of defending myself after week 1, but man, I mean, he has been an awesome player. I cannot imagine the Jets are happy they lost him, considering the Jets wide receiver issues right now.
Exactly.
You look at the rest of the team. DJ Moore doesn't have to hold. DJ Moore is still the better wide receiver. He's the better athlete.
But he doesn't have to be the only guy. And even
doesn't have to be the only dude.
First 8 weeks really slow, but that was his usage. Yeah. Now they're really starting to get him in there. Yes.
Listen, you kind of were giving me shit off the air a couple times. I think twice you kind of like gave me a jab out, which is totally fair. We do that to each other. We're friends. But I was still kind of like, man, I just don't think I'm wrong about Curtis Samuel being a good player.
He's good.
And he is good. He's getting the usage. He's getting his opportunity.
Their wide receiver room is set.
1, 2, 3 is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is. So hopefully that sticks around. No serious issues there. And look, they also have a really good backup running back, and they're set up. They didn't waste Christian McCaffrey year because he's been pretty much hurt all year. And look, that's just less wear and tear, if you ask me.
So let's address it from this area, because this is the area that a lot of guys are going to talk about. And I'm wondering what you're thinking, because maybe if we feel different, we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
What should they do about Teddy? Going forward, should they keep him? Should they try to draft a quarterback this year? Is there a quarterback that if he falls, you say, I'll do it for that guy, but I'm not going to do it for this guy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, so I haven't graded the quarterbacks. I haven't gone into it. So once we get into that stage of the offseason, I'll have a better answer for you. But as of right now, I feel pretty good about saying that the kid out of BYU is going to be my number 2 or 3 quarterback. Zach Wilson. I'm going to like him. I guarantee you guys right now. I'm going to like, and you know who the type of guys that I like.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the line for me right now. I think it would be unwise to say, hey, we have a game manager quarterback. We don't need a superstar.
I would say there's times where Teddy is more than a game manager.
And that's totally fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Hey, look, maybe that label is unfair. If you think it is, hey, tell me in the comments. That is totally fair. And maybe he'll develop into that. I think really the answer is, don't take one in the first round. To be totally honest, don't take one in the first round. You have something in Teddy Bridgewater. I would not be afraid of taking a guy that you think has high upside in the second round and see what you have, because this is going to be a deep class. I mean, there's going to be a Mac Jones sitting around at the end of the first, beginning of the second. I guarantee it.
There are 6 quarterbacks right now
that are projected first rounders.
Yes.
That's not always going to happen. Like they always project too many quarterbacks in the first round at this point, at this stage in the game, because honestly, they're just overestimating the amount of need at the position, and that just is what it is.
Because when you start crunching numbers and looking at teams, I mean,
there's only 2 or 3 that I can count.
That desperately need one top 10.
And really, look, honestly, I don't think you can sit here and say the Jets desperately need one. They'll take one. They're going to be number 1 picks. They're going to take Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, they could run it with Sam Darnold again and try to make it work with him if they needed to. They're not going to need to. Really, it's just the Bears. It's the only team that I look at as like they desperately need quarterback.
Yes,
I mean,
and they're going to go there no matter what.
Exactly.
Depending on which one they're able to get, we'll see. But I feel the same for Teddy. I would keep him. I would rock it just because of the way that you built your team. You have good weapons at receiver to help him out. You have the best receiving running back out there, and just complete game changer. So you're able to incorporate all these different folds into your offense where it doesn't rely on a true game changer top 5 franchise quarterback. It'll be okay without that. Now, if there's a way that you're able to land someone, for me it'd be a Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot. Zach Wilson is a really good quarterback in that. there's a chance you could pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I really do. I agree with that. Like, I'm not counting it out. It's not impossible.
There's a chance, but there's so many other spots on defense that they're better off.
Why not build your team? I mean,
Exactly.
Honestly, build your team. And if you feel like you need a quarterback in year 3, Teddy Bridgewater proves to not be as good as we think he's going to be in 2021, because we're not expecting the Panthers to go win a Super Bowl in 2021.
Exactly.
It's not like that. But if you believe you need to upgrade a quarterback,
if Matt Rule does the interview, he's the offensive genius. He is. If he feels like that's his guy, then shoot your shot. Yeah. But the thing is, when you do that
Don't
early
miss.
On in a 7, yes, do not miss.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be handcuffed to him the entirety of your career in the coaching rebuild. And if it doesn't hit, man, sucks. But that's just your job at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. Are we good on this? Do you want to go anywhere else with this? All right, so we're going to close it up. All right. Book is closed. Boom. It's over. We are done with the Carolina Panthers. We're not talking about them anymore, unless we have to, but we won't. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. What I'm going to do is we're going to bring it to Chris, and we're going to talk about the Lions. We again, as I said at the beginning of the show, we went in depth, right? We went seriously in depth, 35-minute probably interview with them. I'm going to cut it down and probably going to try and make it like a 15-minute conversation for you guys for this pod right now. If you guys are interested in the full conversation, go to YouTube, check it out. It will be up when the podcast goes up. So it'll be there for you guys. Let's go there right now. So we're recording this before the podcast. And for those of you that don't know, every single Saturday, I get on the Hammercast network, and I talk just the tips. We talk, prop bets, and we go through every single game right before Sunday. Chris is absolutely awesome. He is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're still 100% success rate on those kicker picks, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I actually 110%. We've added 10% there because that's how good the kicking props have bet. So thank you for taking notice, John.
Yes, absolutely undefeated. And so I got you on for a little bit of a somber news. I feel bad for you. We're two fans that have felt very similar over the past 10, 15 years, I would say, right? Me being a Dolphins fan, you being a Lions fan. And on this podcast, we are closing the book on a lot of teams that, whether it's statistically out for the season or just they don't have a chance. We're closing the book on their season and we're moving forward. So today, in honor of your Lions, I'm talking to you about the Lions, man. How do you feel, man?
Well, I don't think it's somber. I mean, when Coach Matt Patricia was fired, the general manager Bob Quinn has been fired, as most people know by now. And I don't think that's a somber thing, because it creates this atmosphere here in Detroit and among Lions fans and the one pride community for some sort of optimism, like maybe the best is yet to come here. But in a way, it's the same thing over and over again. I don't know if you were able to check it out, John, but I wrote an article right after the news had broke over the weekend. It's just fire, hire, and repeat here in Detroit. So every couple of years, the same thing happens again. And being a Lions fan and everybody in the city of Detroit, you can set your watch by. There's a timeline here that just repeats itself every 4 years, every 5 years or so.
And you're absolutely right. Again, it's a cyclical thing. And for a lot of the bad teams in the NFL, it seems to be that way. I think of the Browns, I think of Cincinnati, and the Lions. Like, you're not wrong by saying that. But again, plug that article. I want anybody listening to go check that out if they can.
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's called Hire, Fire, and Repeat, written by me. You can find it at dfscheatsheet.com or right on my Twitter at DetroitBC.
They fire Matt Patricia. First of all, did you like that hire to begin with? Where were you on that? And then where are you looking to the future? What are some names that you want to see the Lions get in there? And then also, if you have a GM name, I don't know a lot of GM options. That's usually kind of, those guys aren't, as well known, but the head coaching is obviously a big thing. Where are you on that?
Well, in terms of the hiring of Matt Patricia, it was kind of shocking because, as most people know, Jim Caldwell was our head coach for several seasons, and he was on the right path. He got the Lions to the playoffs 2 seasons in his tenure here, 9 wins, 10 wins along those lines here. and the organization, the ownership, let's say, that's not good enough for us. We want to, reach further and beyond, which was music to my ears. It was music to everybody in the city and Detroit Lions fans here. And then they hire the schlub in Matt Patricia, and he completely regressed the entire organization here. I believe his record was 13, 29-1 in his several seasons here as the Lions head coach. So it just leaves you scratching your head. So you have a good idea, right? You hire Jim Caldwell. By all intents and purposes, it was a great hire. Got us to the playoffs, which rarely happens here in Detroit. And then you just ask them for no apparent reason for, like the grass is always greener kind of ideal here. And Matt Patricia did absolutely nothing. So again, the MO here is Lions fans and the Lions organization. We're right back where we started here with looking for another head coach. And, if you look at, as I have, right, it was between, like, let's say, we're going back a couple of years here, but it was between, like, let's say, Mike Vrabel, and Patricia. And if you look at what Vrabel's doing, he got Tennessee to an AFC championship team. He has the Tennessee Titans playing at a very high level. They are a playoff team season after season now in Vrabel's tutelage, let's say, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, we could have had him, but it's just always all these blunders, always making the wrong decisions here in Detroit. And in terms of the GM here, I'm with you. I mean, I know names and guys, reporters, current GMs, past GMs, things of that nature, but nobody sticks out to me. And I kind of like that in a way, if that sounds odd to you, because I'd like to have plucked a Mike Mayock, in Vegas now. He had some scouting experience, and he went to the booth, and him and Gruden look to have they have something going there.
Because we've mentioned this on the podcast before, Matt Miller is stepping down from BR. This is going to be his last year working with Bleacher Report, and people have hypothesized that he is trying to get a GM job. He's talked about on his podcast before about how he that's his dream, and it would be a very similar route as the Mike Mayock, albeit a lot sooner. But if the Lions are looking to copy the Mike Mayock route.
Just playing around, I saw Herman Moore, the longtime Lions wide receiver here, who is in the Lions Ring of Fame, Hall of Fame here. He mentioned Chris Spielman, who is now an announcer. He was a stud Pro Bowl, all-pro linebacker for the Lions, played at Ohio State here. Not a lot of people were very into that idea for Chris Spielman being a GM, or even Louis Riddick being the GM, but I'd like to think that you got to give these guys a chance to do their thing. And a guy like Chris Spielman, who loves the Lions, who I'd like to think would do anything in his power to get the Lions up and running here as the general manager. I like the idea. Is it all fun? Is it kidding around? Sure. But before you know it, let's fast forward a month from now. Who knows? It could have picked up some major steam here, right, John? So if you look at it, let's transition to head coaches here real quick, if I may. The first one that everybody's talking about is, I'm sure you've mentioned it too, is the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy. And if the goal within the Lions ownership is to maximize offensive talent here and try one last rebuild around Matt Stafford, then Eric Bieniemy would be at the top of the list. I mean, he's taken a Kansas City team, albeit with Andy Reid at his side. He's transformed that Kansas City offense to new heights. And now look, obviously you have Patrick Mahomes, who is absolutely a stud, generational talent, as they say. But if you want to challenge yourself, as I'm sure a lot of these offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators want to do, the Detroit Lions job would be perfect for Eric B. here to challenge himself. As I've said, Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, has been on my radar. And if you want to look back to the 2018 draft, when Josh Allen was drafted here, they grabbed Josh Allen to work with Brian Daboll here, if I'm not mistaken. And now the Buffalo Bills look to be a powerhouse, in the in the AFC East for quite some time here. Well, he's good at timing and rhythm passing for, quarterbacks here. So I think he could do wonders here with Matthew Stafford. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, is another guy you have to think about. Ryan Tannehill, drafted to Miami, by all means, looked like a bum, looked like a bust. He's been rejuvenated in Tennessee. Is it because of Arthur Smith? Is it because of Mike Vrabel? We don't know, but we have to consider some of these guys. And the last head coaching guy I want to touch on here is, by all means, my favorite one. It's Robert Salehi, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers here. Now, in the last week or so days since Matt Patricia has been fired, Robert Salehi has picked up major steam from even his own players. It's unprecedented that Richard Sherman, his stud cornerback, is tweeting out that Robert Salehi should leave their organization and be hired for another organization at the head coaching position. That to be fair with you, John, that just goes to show you how highly regarded a guy like Robert Salehi is by his own teammates here. So, perhaps injecting some defensive wisdom into the Detroit Lions would do them well. And in terms of where I would like the organization to be, I would love the Detroit Lions organization to be an absolute powerhouse on defense. Kind of like the, let's say, the Legion of Boom in Seattle, or how can I put it? What Baltimore has going on with their young linebackers and their shutdown corner in Marlon Humphrey. I would prefer a knockdown, drag-out defense over the offensive side of the ball any day of the week. So if you're asking me, I've talked for about 20 minutes now uninterrupted, John. I'm sorry for that. It's Robert Salehi, and it's not close for me.
I gotcha. No, I love it. Look, Chris has this way, and I'm just speaking to the listeners here. Chris has this way of kind of going through every single thought very thoroughly. And I knew before I got on here that, hey, I was just going to let you run because you're so good at kind of putting a bow on it. I knew you were going to get there. I loved everything you said. You mentioned two guys that we talked about heavily on this podcast, and Eric Bieniemy and Salehi. So I'll kind of leave that alone because they've heard my thoughts on that. I loved what you said about Brian Daboll as a guy who, he was able to kind of take this young Josh Allen and mold him. But really my favorite part about Daboll are the stories you hear about him switching up his routine, switching things up mid-season. I think that's a huge indicator that you have a successful head coach, somebody who's able to pivot from their norm, make changes during the season, and it's somebody who doesn't wait till the second half to make adjustments. Characteristics like that always seem to hold true to head coaches. So Daboll, I do think belongs as a head coach. And then and then you mentioned the Titans OC, who I'll be honest, I haven't heard a lot of buzz about him, but I don't understand why. I mean, he's taken Ryan Tannehill to new heights. We've never seen that before. He's really taken a meat potatoes offense that doesn't work for a lot of teams, and it really, really works for the Dolphins, for the Titans. So I love that as well. I think Stafford's a great quarterback. I personally don't think you should move on from him, but let's say they hire your number one pick. They go to San Francisco, they grab their D coordinator, they make him a head coach. What do they do with Stafford?
There's going to be several coaches. If they hire him like Robert Saleh, I think they would keep Matthew Stafford. If they hire Joe Brady, I think they get rid of Stafford, draft picks, whatever you can get, and then they draft a young quarterback in 2021. My personal preference, I would like to see, how can I put this? Because I've always enjoyed Matthew Stafford, and I know it's just business, but I think it's Matthew Stafford's time here in Detroit has been fantastic. What you've given to the organization, what you and your wife have given to the community is top notch, and you will always be remembered as one of, if not the greatest quarterback to ever play in Detroit. Yet you've won no playoff games. I believe off the top of my head, you're 5-32 against teams that are over 500, something along those lines. I think it would be best for the Lions and Matthew Stafford if he were to move on elsewhere, try his hand at another organization. Maybe he could sniff the playoffs elsewhere. Maybe he could win a playoff game. Maybe he could play in an AFC or NFC championship game elsewhere, or God willing, win a Super Bowl elsewhere. Matthew Stafford is a top-notch human being. He has a great work ethic. He's a great man. So I wish nothing but the best for Matthew Stafford. And since you've asked me, Joe, I think it would be best for Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions organization to move on. New head coach, new GM, new quarterback, and just go in a completely different direction. Just completely clean this whole thing out and start from scratch.
All right. Hey, I love it. So you're saying, Lions fan here saying, clean house. Let's move on from everybody who's not young and ready to go right now, and let's build up an entirely new, or era of Lions football. Essentially, if you look at Stafford as an era, because it's kind of hard to look at the coaches as an era. No offense. Yeah. So no, I love that. Let me go because the Stafford thing. It's going to be a question. We're going to have to go into my next question under two visors. So I'm going to go really quick on the quarterback you would want, assuming you move on from Matthew Stafford, right? So this is not a guy that you're looking to groom. And if you're looking to groom, you have somebody who is not there for very long. It's not like a Matthew Stafford thing who has a long leash. You have, probably a guy who's probably going to be there for, a Tyrod Taylor type. That's who you have. So in this scenario, you have a Tyrod Taylor type in free agency. You're looking to draft a quarterback. Two quarterbacks are off the board. You can't take Trevor Lawrence and you can't take Jalen Hurts out of Ohio State. Who do you want?
Justin Fields, you mean Jalen?
You're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm thinking about the Eagles game last night. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, that's absolutely fine. I think, to be fair with you, I would want Zach Wilson, BYU quarterback.
I love that kid. Yeah.
It would go, to me, it would be Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and then Florida's kid, Kyle Trask here. You know what? I think it would be Zach Wilson and then Kyle Trask in that order for me. I think a kid like Zach Wilson, he plays for a very under the radar college team. I mean, nothing's more under the radar than Trey Lance in North Dakota State. But BYU has how can I put this? They have an air of these kids are high character kids. They're hard work ethic. They're coached well. They listen to criticism well. They're not like all over the place. Like, let's say a kid like Kyle Trask who's in Florida, right? It is like like a top 10 college sports town or college sports city here. So I think I'm going to side with, as I said, Zach Wilson, BYU's quarterback.
Zach Wilson, BYU. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be high on him. I'm a big draft guy, as you know, and, the listeners know very well that I do a whole thing. My YouTube channel really thrives during the off season when I get to look at college kids and grade them and all that. So I love him. I would not be surprised if he's my number 2 quarterback. Nobody's going to get ahead of Lawrence. Obviously, that's the number 1 pick, no matter who it is. But I would not be a surprise at all if he's my number 2 ahead of a lot of these maybe higher profile names. So I love that name. Love that you said that. I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. Assuming it's not a quarterback, let's say you keep Matthew Stafford, where do you want to go in this draft? Let me give you, if you have some names, that's okay. If not, that's also okay. I'm going to say you have the 8th pick, right? So you're not getting the top tackle. You're not getting that top linebacker that's coming out. Other than that, we don't really know how the board's going to fall. So we'll say 8th pick. Where do you want to go with that?
Well, the 8th pick might be a little high for who I want here, but I think a kid in Penn State, Micah Parsons, their linebacker, could be available in that spot. And then especially in this draft, there are several look to be stud cornerbacks here, like Caleb Farley could definitely be there, Virginia Tech's cornerback when we pick. J.C. Horn, South Carolina's cornerback, could be there. He's been compared to like Marlon Humphrey, things of that nature. So imagine a case where if you don't draft a quarterback, you grab like another stud cornerback and you pair him with Jeff Okudah and hope both kids can grow and learn together, and that the outside of the field can be shut down, right? Week in and week out for the Lions defense. And then that separates half the field here, and you're able to focus on linebackers and like the defensive line here. I think that would help a team like the Lions, where instead of needing every player on defense, they can hone in on just like the linebacker position and the defensive line position. And I think that would very much help their growth as a defense.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now, that would mean you're taking a corner with a top 10 pick 2 years in a row. Are you comfortable with that? Yeah, no, and that's totally okay. Look, you look at, what the Dolphins are doing defensively. They're playing through their corners. They have the 2 highest paid corners in the NFL right now, and they're playing through them. They're really good, and their defense is really good. And a lot of the names in the middle, they're linebackers and defensive linemen. They're kind of no-name guys. Beyond Van Noy, I doubt there's a lot of average fans that aren't Dolphins fans that really know any of those top end players there. So that's a really great look. You also look at I think the Patriots is another team that comes to mind that plays through their corners. I love that thought process. But you're definitely going defense. I've heard you name a couple defensive players. Are you not worried about the offense at all?
No, I'm 100% going defense, and I just want to mention Kyle Van Noy, the Lions.
Yeah.
Linebacker who they drafted and then they cut because they said he wasn't good enough, and then he's starting at middle linebacker in the Super Bowl for the Patriots. So that just goes to show you about the Lions organization, who they deem good and who they deem bad here. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm going defense early and often in this draft.
And I love the idea. Go defense. And, you mentioned it, and I was kind of thinking this while you were talking. It feels like, and correct me if you disagree, but it feels like Detroit should be a defense first team, right? Like that feels like in the same way the
100%.
Steelers are, like that feels like, that just feels right. Like the Detroit is so, hard nosed and, known for that type of mentality. Why wouldn't they be, a threat on the defensive side of the ball? So I absolutely agree with that.
Absolutely. And I'm so sick and tired of being envious of other teams.
So I want to bring up one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go. I know we're going a lot longer. I told you 10 to 15 minutes, and we're on minute 34 right now. So I do apologize for taking this long, but I love getting in depth in teams like this.
Sure.
I'm a big draft guy, as I said. I study the draft in a way that I think is somewhat unique in the sense that, like, I want to look at what teams are doing. Every team's going to miss on a pick. So I'm not going to, grade a GM harsh for missing on the 3rd round pick, whatever, that's going to happen. Everybody misses. It is what it is. That's part of football. The parts that I've had a problem with the Lions in recent drafts is spending your draft equity in the wrong places, right? And one example comes to mind that just, it's just obvious. The running back is so devalued. And when I look at the draft, I look at it as just a value system, right? Get the most value out of every single pick. And spending 2 second round picks on a running back in 3 years, that is a lack of value, and I understand. Look, you missed on
your team.
Yeah, it does. You missed on Kerryon Johnson. It hurts. It sucks. But at the end of the day, if you miss on Kerryon Johnson, go get a running back in the 7th round that you won't miss on. I mean, Myles Gaskin, the stud for the Dolphins for he was a 7th round pick. I mean, there's a million examples. Would you rather have Swift for a 2nd round pick, or would you rather have Robinson, the undrafted free agent? Or, you know what I mean? Look, I understand Swift's a great player, and that's nothing against Swift. He deserved to be a 2nd round running back. No doubt about it. But you just mentioned, you guys could have gotten another corner in the 2nd round. McKinney, you could have gotten Diggs that went to the Cowboys, somebody in that. It's just maximizing value. And that was something that was severely missed over the past couple of years. And regardless of hitting or missing on draft picks, it's going to happen. It is what it is. But I want to see the Lions step up in that regard, and that I think is the most important 100%. Part of the draft,
100%. And aside from running back, look at all the linebackers they've drafted, and none of them have panned out. They've all been bums, and it makes no sense. And when you spend draft capital, as you put it, at the same positions, draft after draft after draft, and none of them are hitting, it's just you're at a wasteland. It's like being in quicksand. You sink down far enough, and then you get yourself up to your waist, and then just to sink down again. So they're just spinning their wheels. They've been in neutral for 10, 20 seasons here. So something needs to change in terms of their drafting. When they drafted a wide receiver and with a top 5 pick, like 17 drafts in a row. Like, it just doesn't make sense the way they've drafted, and just need a complete and absolutely 100% no doubt change from top to bottom here with this organization.
All right, so this is what we're going to have to do, and I'm going to get you to commit to this now so you can't back out later. During the offseason, at some point, I'm going to contact you and say, hey, we're talking Lions this week. I'm going to need you to come on, and we're going to have to go, your biggest wants, your biggest needs, everything you want from the free agency standpoint. And then you're going to have to tell me, the top, we talked first round a little bit. You're going to have to give me in depth, top 3 or 4 rounds. So I'm telling you right now, you're going to have homework. Well, I'm going to bring you on again. Is that okay?
100%. You can count on me having several pages of notes and being well-informed and well-advised.
I know I can. You always do. All right, man. Hey, first of all, guys, if you haven't already, check us out every single Saturday for the Just the Tips episode. If you're not available on Saturday afternoon to watch the live stream, you can always listen to the podcast and get some great nuggets. Don't listen to me. If you listen to me this week, you lost money because I got absolutely owned this week in pretty much every bet that I made. But Chris, like we said, 110% success rate on his kicking picks, and that's a little bit in jest, but for real, for people that are listening, Chris comes up with some of the best props. I mean, just awesome little things that you just wouldn't think of, and it's just an easy way to make money. I feel like, every time he makes a couple little points, I'm like, man, he just made me $20. Like that was easy, so I love his insight. That's a great thing to check out every day. Chris, I'll let you plug your Twitter and everything else. Where can they check you out?
Sure, you can find me at Detroit Beastie. Most of my work is at dfscheatsheet.com or at dfscheatsheet1. And bottom of the barrel, my DFS article, that's my bread and butter. Depending on when you listen to this, it will be out Tuesday, December 1st in the evening. So give that some eyeballs.
Perfect. And this is coming out Wednesday, so that will be available when you're listening, guys. Hey, Chris, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. We're going to go right back to Between the Pylons with me and Jacob.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. So that was a great conversation. I really love Chris. His insight is awesome. He has some great thoughts. We're kind of kindred spirits in a way. He mentions being an only child. I'm an only child. He mentions being a fan of a team that constantly lets you down. I know what that's like.
The Lions and Dolphins, man.
So it's kind of fun talking to him. And as I said in the interview at the end, we are going to bring him back for like when we start talking about the full in-depth team conversation. What do they need to do in the draft? We're going to bring him back, and I'll have you in there, and we can kind of have a little bit of a round table on that. So let's shift gears. Let's go to the Chargers. All right. The LA Chargers. I almost said San Diego. I got it. This is a team that is not in need of a quarterback. There's no quarterback questions in my mind. Maybe we're going to disagree there. There is no question marks at the quarterback position. They knew who they got. They got Justin Herbert. Take it away. Where are you at with this team?
You're scanning this team and you're looking at weaknesses overall, and they have a lot of guys. They have a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. They are injury ridden a lot, and it's unfortunate. And another thing, it's not even a roster thing. At the end of the day, it's the guy running. It's the captain of the ship. It's the coach. It's Anthony Lynn. And it sucks to say, you were a great motivator. I do think that your players are invested into some of the stuff that you're putting out. But at the end of the day, your play calling, the way that you have to just step on a team's throat and finish them off. I mean, what is it now? We've said it for over a year that the Chargers and their wins within 7 points, at a certain point, it has to regress to the mean. We always say that. That's what every analyst out there will say, that if you have so many of games that fall out this way, there's going to be that many in the opposite in the future. We are still waiting, and we're going on 2 years where they're at 16 games decided by 7 or less. And that's them losing the games. Yeah. That's where they're at. They have a great roster. I really like the receivers. Their offensive line is good. It can get better, of course, but no team out there can have everything in a top 5 line to go with it. Yeah. They need some more interior defensive line pressure. They've missed a lot on picks in the draft at that, but that's being nitpicky overall because they have good linebackers. They have one of the best secondaries out there. I really like their secondary a lot. Derwin's hurt. He's not there, but add him back into it, and that's one of the reasons why it's the best out there. Kenneth Murray, fast, awesome linebacker. Herbert looks like a slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
Austin Eckler, you paid him, you got him wrapped up. Very, very serviceable running back.
Great running, yeah.
Where do you go?
Yeah. Listen, I absolutely agree. I think this season proves that Anthony Lynn needs to go. They need to move on from him. Look, and I love the dude. On Hard Knocks, I remember calling you about him. I'm like, man, this Anthony Lynn coach, like, I didn't know him as a person, and just kind of watching a little bit of Hard Knocks, you got to know. Love the personality, love the grind. But I remember this past offseason talking about how he's a little bit too old to hat. He's a little bit too conventional. I want to run the ball, play defense, and I'm not willing to move off of my ideals of how I want to coach a football team. And listen, man, if it works, it works. It works for the Titans. You know, it works for some teams. But if it doesn't work, you have to change. And that's just the end of the day. Like, the NFL evolves too quickly. We watch it. We watch it week by week. The NFL evolves. And the Chargers are not evolving with it. You mentioned the team, the roster, and I absolutely agree. I actually want to go back because I think they should clean house. I really do. I think Tom Telesco, like, he's hit on some picks, but he has missed on a lot of mid-round picks that I really feel, you know, at a certain point, he's been there for a while. I say you clean house with you get a new head coach, get a new GM. I personally just believe in that in general. Yeah. Like, if you replace the head coach, replace the GM, and get guys you believe in. So that's just me. I look at this past draft, and look, I'm never going to judge, oh, you missed on this player one time. That is what it is. But for draft value, you know, I know you kind of gave me shit because I had a serious problem with the Kenneth Murray trade up. Team that
I like Kenneth Murray.
Yeah, and look, I like Kenneth Murray too, and I really do. And my problem was not with the player Kenneth Murray. My problem was you're trading up to get a player who is very similar to a Patrick Queen. Both similar players. Patrick Queen right now is better. I will say that.
Someone you don't have to move for.
Exactly. Patrick Queen ends up falling to the end of the first round. You gave up too many assets to move up, and you got your guy. That's fine. But when you're drafting in the NFL, unless you're a team that just needs one pick, I think that's a mistake. That's just me. That's my opinion. That is my draft nerd hat being on. Didn't like the Joshua Kelly pick, you know, in the 4th round. That's pretty much it. After that, yeah, 5th and 6th rounders, never going to talk about that. You know, that just is what it is. If they hit, they hit. But, you know, you have a young talent. I liked what you said about the offensive line. You can always go offensive line, but, yeah, it's not terrible.
That's probably where they'll go in this draft.
Yeah.
Because all the other stuff is
They have too good of a roster to be 4-7.
Yes.
And right now, you know, you have a team. You have Anthony Lynn, who can you not scout running backs? You're an ex-running back. You can't scout running backs because look, and I'm not going to
toot my horn.
No, I love Eckler. I love Eckler. He didn't bring an Eckler.
No, I know.
I'm saying beyond that, Eckler goes down.
Why Josh Kelly isn't
Eckler goes down. Joshua Kelly is a bust. I mean, I'm sorry, he is. And like, that's unfair to say after 12 weeks in the NFL. But he had a golden opportunity. A golden goose was laid in his lap. He's not that good.
And they brought on Kalen Ballage.
Now Kalen Ballage, you get off the street, and he's playing pretty okay. But it's like, I don't know. I have a serious issue with, like, that's supposed to be your, like, if Kyle Shanahan couldn't pick out wide receivers, I would have an issue with that.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he's hit on some wide receivers. Like, I don't know. That's just a little thing, whatever. Maybe I'm just being too biased. Like, maybe I just got lucky with the Joshua Kelly take that I had in the offseason, and I'm punishing him for that. Moving forward, this team is very bright. This could easily be the team that flips it and is great next year, right? Like, seriously, it would not surprise me if they had a deep playoff run next year. They have all the pieces. I do think they need a new head coach. I think they need a new mindset more than anything. But $75 million in projected cap space, you can do a lot.
They're gonna have tons of room to make the moves and shore up those areas where they really like some of the big names that might be out there this offseason. And yeah, like you said with Anthony Lynn, it's not so much as I'm against Anthony Lynn. He's a great offensive mind, a great NFL mind when it comes to the coaching game and the way to do it. It is just such a bad taste in your mouth now to this mindset that when you're up 14, you're like,
let's run the ball.
Shit, are we going to lose it now? Yeah. That shouldn't even be close to a realm of
especially
possibility.
if you're in the end, like you're starting the 4th quarter up 14.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we're going to run the ball. Okay, well, no, your running backs are very good. You can't really run the ball unless you have Austin Eckler.
It was a few weeks ago when they played the Broncos and they were winning by, I think they were up by 20 or something like that. And it just so happened in that pod before that game was played, I said the exact same thing, how watch them go up by a lot. And they're the only team, them and the Falcons, they're the only teams out there where when they're winning by this much, you're almost worried. You would rather than be down instead of be up going into the 4th.
You just feel that's crazy to think you feel more comfortable down 7 than up 14 in the 4th quarter. I mean,
it's just because this mindset, they beat themselves, they play to win, which is playing to lose because they're just running the clock out, they're just barely grinding it by.
Listen, I look, we're 12 weeks in. I trust Justin Herbert to go down and get a game-winning touchdown more than I do more than I trust your run game to run out a quarter and a half. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree. It's a mindset thing.
They take their foot off the gas, and by then it's too little too late. And then whenever the team has to get back going, like, oh shit, we may lose. It's too late. Everyone's cooled off.
Listen, and you talked about it when you first started talking about this. I'm going to reinforce it just real quick. This was a team that we talked about in the offseason as being a team like, hey, they lost a lot of close games last year. Hey, that usually reverts to the mean, and I stand by that stat. I will talk about that stat every offseason until nobody wants to listen to me, and I'm just talking to myself. I'll still talk about that stat. But it's a tried and true formula throughout the NFL that shit comes back to the mean. But when it doesn't, there's a problem. Yeah, there's a serious problem.
So that means that we're at a new standard to where when this is something we need to look at as maybe this is a new era where this is the new standard and then it will only get worse from there or something. It's just where we're at.
Yeah.
It sucks.
No, I absolutely agree. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's see, what are we thinking for a draft pick, right? First round, they're going to be like a top 10 pick. Where do you want to go first round?
Offensive or defensive line. And if you go defensive line, I really want it to be interior defensive line.
Okay. I don't know that there's any big names yet. I mean, maybe a Payne.
Yeah, the guy out of Michigan
State.
Really
I can't say his name. KP. I don't know. Quiddy, I think. Whatever his name is.
He's solid.
Yeah.
You could do it with Gregory Rousseau off the edge, but you don't really need that because you
don't need edge help.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need edge help. If you go offensive lineman, look for a guy like Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. Yeah. He's one of those guys who might fall down just a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's some rumors out there because Chargers are picking pretty high right now, right?
I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. So they'll be top 10.
Daniel
for sure.
Jeremiah came out with his offensive line picks pretty much. And I, as well as many others, have just ranting and raving about Penei Sewell, the guy out of Oregon.
Yeah.
He is his third offensive lineman.
Really?
It is shocking.
Wow. I didn't see that.
It is shocking. Daniel Jeremiah, will go back to this past season. Mekhi Becton was his number one. Mekhi Becton is a really good offensive lineman right now. He is playing. It's him and great. Tristan Wirfs is the two really good hits out of all of that.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jeremiah, he hit on those. Yeah. So people are starting to say, why is Penei, what's the deal? But so for me, Penei's a surefire hit. If the Chargers, it's a match made in heaven, he's not going to be there in my opinion. Yeah. So you're going to have to go somewhere else. Yeah. They could start to replace corner because I have seen some PFF numbers talking about because how fast corners go from a rise and fall. Once you hit that certain age, they start to go down. So it might be time to replace some of those older guys in there, but we'll see.
No, I absolutely agree. I can't think of off the top of my head where their PFF numbers are, but it doesn't matter.
I think it was Casey Hayward was struggling.
And he's older, so you're gonna have to replace him pretty soon. Makes sense, man. I absolutely agree. Anywhere else you want to go here?
It's very, very bright with Herbert. Yeah. It is very, very bright.
So let's do this because real quick, we have about like another 5 minutes allotted for this team. What do you think about if they make a change at quarterback? Because I'm ready. We both agree they need to move.
Herbert's the guy.
They need to move on. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm saying not quarterback. Coach. I'm sorry. Did I say quarterback? Yeah. Where do they need to go from coach?
Looking at a coach, I would get a guy who is tapped into the offensive side of the ball, is tapped into airing it out more with the way that this team is equipped. Mm-hmm. It would be perfect to get a young guy in there who could really just tap into Herbert and blow. Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy.
I think that's perfect offensive mind. See, Bieniemy's going to be the guy going everywhere, though. He's the one who should go to the Jets and have Trevor Lawrence future. I get that. Because no matter which guy he gets, I trust it.
I'm gonna give you three names, right? All right. So what about Joe Brady? OC, and just for everybody that doesn't know Joe Brady, he is currently the offensive coordinator for the Panthers. I know that doesn't sound good. He was also the offensive coordinator for the LSU Tigers last year when they went to when they won everything. Joe Brady is a hot name right now. I think me personally, wait a year. I think Joe Brady should get another year of OC before he gets the head coaching job. But that's not how things work in the NFL. I mean, Zach Taylor has a job right now, so people would rather be early than late on guys. What about Joe Brady?
Bieniemy's above him. Eric Bieniemy should be the number one candidate.
Well, yeah, no, I totally understand. I think we both agree.
Joe Brady would be successful, though. I like that a lot. It might be too soon, though.
You think it's too soon for? Okay, so we're on the same page there. What about this? And this is actually something Chris said, and I'm kind of steal this from him. We had the conversation earlier today, and he mentioned the Titans OC. The Titans offensive coordinator. I'm blanking on the name right now. Arthur something.
I don't know why I can't think of it. Yeah.
Offensive coordinator.
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I lost his name. I'm sorry about that. Either way, Arthur Smith done a really good job with the Titans.
He has.
He's been there for a couple years now, and look, he's a young dude, 38 years old. Same kind of story.
That'd be a shame for the Titans to miss out on him, though.
It would be, but that's going to happen. I mean, that's going to happen. And look, the Titans lost LaFleur 2 years ago, or last offseason. So Arthur Smith steps in, is doing a great job. Titans could end up becoming a head coach factory pretty soon if that becomes the case.
It's a good bad thing when you're looking at it from the Titans stance. Yeah, Arthur Smith. I mean, your job is, you step up at coordinator, and then when you get your big gig, you shoot your shot. And the Chargers have all the weapons necessary to where he'd be able to succeed there.
He'd be able to do, I think he'd be really good. He'd bring that run pass option kind of thing for Herbert. I think that'd be great. One more defensive guy, the 49ers defensive coordinator, Saleh. Yeah, I always lose his name.
Saleh. He's good. He really.
He wouldn't have to go far.
No, he wouldn't have to go far at all. I think all of those names are really, really. I think Kyle Shanahan would keep him in the system though with the 49ers.
Oh, he's going to go soon. I think he will be a head coach this year. I believe that.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have sit down and talk with him then because he's that good of a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he's going to get a head coach.
I get it as he should, but. I think you need more of a guy.
You want OC offensive minded. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Just some names to think about. I hope they move on from Lynn. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to our last name. The last team we're closing the book on, and really book should have already been closed on them a couple weeks ago, but we were doing a different segment. The AFC, NFC. The Cincinnati Bengals. We're closing the book. It's over. And there's so much to get to with this particular team. And I mentioned Zach Taylor. Because everyone knows the injury. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. Do you move on from Zach Taylor?
No.
So do you believe in him, or you think one more year? Where are you at with Zach Taylor? So
it's hard to say where I'm at with him. I don't know if he is the guy. I know that he isn't not the guy, if that makes sense. Like he hasn't shown me anything to where it's like, oh, that's bad, get him out of there.
Gotcha.
Now, it's not that level of anything. I think you're looking at this team as this was Burrow, and Burrow showed a lot of success. He showed a lot of promise and was offensive rookie of the year, surefire hit, and then of course that unfortunate injury happened. Yeah, you would like to see in the time since, but I mean, this past week's game wasn't that atrocious compared to what I thought it would be.
No, it wasn't.
So yeah, I don't think you've seen enough to get him out of there.
I get that. I'm gonna go against you a little bit. And look, I think there's going to be less firings this year than most years, and I don't think Zach Taylor gets fired. So I'm not predicting it, and I don't think we should go into who should they hire. I don't think it's that level. I do think they should move on from Zach Taylor. It was not a good hire to begin with. I will say that. And I have heard some rumors, and nothing has been confirmed, but I've heard some rumors that the players do not believe in the system.
Okay.
The system itself. Now, you never know what that is. Like, that's just some kind of Twitter thing that could be nothing, could be something. Who knows? But if it's out there, it's out there. I think Mike Brown is probably one of the worst owners in the NFL. I feel bad for Cincinnati fans. I do. It is what it is. But Mike Brown has never taken this team seriously. Mike Brown is
he's a Jerry without the talent. The eye for the talent.
Yeah, I think he's more. Yeah, he wants to be general manager. He's
too involved. But
way
at
too
least
involved.
With Jerry Jones, you have the eye for talent. You have the ability to at least find it and scout it.
He doesn't really know football that much, and really, I'm going to be honest, he's more worried about the concession sales than he is about the product on the field. I believe
that's not succeeding either.
Yeah, exactly. So it just is what it is. I don't want to harp on that. What is the future of the Cincinnati Bengals?
Bright. It's bright. You have Joe Burrow. Yeah. I think you have hit a franchise guy, and we just finished talking about the Chargers. Both of them have found franchise guys. And you cannot put a price on that in today's NFL. These are guys that you can constantly build around as long as you're able to keep them happy and build around them and show that you're willing to work with them and piece it together. Yeah, I see no reason as to why the Bengals shouldn't improve going forward. They've spent a lot of money on their defense. They got a lot of Vikings, believe it or not. Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander to bolster up their secondary. Defensive line, it's there. They got Carl Lawson. They have what's left of Geno Atkins for whatever that time being. He's older, but we'll see.
Yeah.
A lot of places to fill up, but the offense is looking good. You're probably going to go O-line with your first overall pick is what you should do. And your main reason for doing that is look at why your quarterback's hurt.
Yeah. No, and it's so sad.
The future is promising, though. If Burrow is able to come back, and in today's day and age, ACL injuries aren't, and he damaged more than just the ACL, but it's not as damning as it used to be. So I say, why not?
Yeah. And look, I get that. I look at, I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. T. Higgins is a hit. They got him in the second round.
You can let AJ Green go now.
Logan Wilson, we'll see. I don't know. I think my biggest issue with the Bengals drafting is the fact that they don't want to make any moves. They never do. They never make any draft day moves. They never try to advance the amount of value that they have in their draft picks. That's just, again, putting my draft nerd hat on for a second. And that's just a minor, curmudgeonly issue that I have, whatever. My bigger question, I guess, it's not even Bengals. It's this rumor, is this thought, this theory that maybe Joe Burrow says, hey, I'm not playing 2021. They sit out for an entire 2021 season. He's not going to be available until midway through the season at best. This is going to be a year-long, 9 months to 12-month injury recovery time. Does he say, hey, I'm going to take this year to get fully healthy and come back in 2022?
At the end of the day, the Bengals are not competing next year.
Yeah.
So if that answers it for you.
So no, let's do this. What will he do? Because I think we agree on this.
Yeah, he's a competitor, man.
Yeah, he's not going to
win. I think he's going to blow the expectations of this injury out of the water too, and he's going to be good to go before you know it.
Yeah.
So that's just the type of guy that he is, and all the people have reached out and said they're willing to help him. Deshaun Watson being one of them, I thought was really cool. Said they're willing to help him with anything he can get going forward, how to deal with this injury. Yeah, he's going to get out there. Technically, no, but there's a lot.
Do it or
technically, no, he shouldn't come back. But then again, there's a lot of technicalities out there that go into the fact that it's just not a realistic possibility. Technically, Trevor Lawrence should not go to the Jets. Technically, Joe Burrow shouldn't have started playing for the Bengals this year because of the way their offensive line was. They're in shambles. Look at where he's at right now. His career's technically in jeopardy because of the knee. So there's a lot of technicalities you can propose after the fact, and it's like, yeah, I mean, what was he like? If I asked you that question based off of the logic, were they going to win anything this year? No, we knew that. So why play if you knew that you were going to risk it? That's the whole game of football.
I think that's an excellent point. I don't think I definitely could not have said it any better. I think you're absolutely right. You put that to rest. I absolutely agree with you.
He's going to get out there.
Let's. Where do I want to go with this? All right, so I think we both agree this offense is good, right?
Yeah.
Like at least it can be. It can be. Okay, fix the offensive line. We agree on that. Going to have about $54 million in draft or in cap space. So you can probably go out and get another offensive lineman to pair with your first round pick, who will be an offensive lineman, almost certainly should be anyway. And then you
draft offensive line in this year's draft.
Yeah, exactly. But I was going to say, so you get first round offensive lineman. You already have your wide receivers, right? Boyd is awesome. T. Higgins is a hit. AJ Green, he's going to be out there on the field. You've actually have a pretty good roster of young players. You don't need to go wide receiver this year, I don't think. Joe Mixon, still really good. Giovanni Bernard can fill in when Joe Mixon's hurt, so that works. Go to the defensive side of the field, and it's not as pretty, right? Obviously, you need help pretty much everywhere. Part of it is the fact that most of their entire defense was hurt this year. Nobody talks about it because they weren't going to be good anyway. But almost all of the guys they got in free agency, all of your Vikings, hey, if they stayed on the Vikings, you wouldn't have gotten them anyway. Yeah, exactly. They're all hurt. I mean, it's ridiculous. All of them, essentially. Where do you go? Second, third round, impact players. What do you want? What do we need for this team?
And they tried to do that this year. Heavy in the linebacking department, which is why they're probably not. You can't really do that 2 years in a row because they targeted 3 in this year's. So you got to kind of see where they go with the whole class.
Yeah. They went to the MAC for linebackers too, which was weird. Like
they did. They
went to Wyoming
and we'll see if he's it. Yeah, they went. It was 3 linebackers. I was right.
Yeah.
So probably going to be corner, but I mean, you spent so much money on that free agency, you got to let your guys get healthy and see where you're going at on that.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a second or third round pick on a corner. I don't think that would be anything wrong. Defense, we agree, right?
First round offensive line
and shit. Go second round offensive line. Go third round offensive line. You draft an entire new line. Go only offensive line. Like, I mean, honestly.
It's one of the things that I think if you're Joe Burrow, you want to see, because he heard so many horror stories about Carson Palmer telling him, man, this team, I was there for the entirety of my career for the most part, the good part of my career.
Yeah.
And they just refused to invest the time. He was like, they'd give me pieces here and there, but it's like, why not just go all out and give me a window?
Yeah.
Why not, it sucks to say, but eventually for Joe Burrow, there's going to be a window where you got to make your shot. And when you do it, why half-ass do it?
Yeah, look, this is the exact conversation. This is the exact reason we said, hey, Joe Burrow, like this offseason, we both agreed. And I was a fan, so I was biased. But Joe Burrow, say you're not going to play with Cincinnati. Dolphins have all the capital in the world. Make the force the hand for Cincinnati to make a trade with the Dolphins and let the Dolphins go up and get you because they wanted him. It's a fact. They wanted him. They're probably happy with Tua. It's fine. Everything's good. But they wanted Burrow bad, and they were trying to make a move. Couldn't get it done. But I mean, if Burrow would have pushed, he probably could have gotten that done. And
it's one of those things where I said technically,
it's all technicalities
because you have these franchises that are just not well run. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to get better. And there's a handful of them out there, and they're the ones historically who just have found ways to have good quarterbacks mainly and not win. The Lions pop up in my head.
I was going to say, we actually talked about that with Chris, and I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that in or not. Obviously in the full version, you'll hear it all. But yeah, we talked about that, about how, the Lions just every couple of years, it's the same story. It's a cyclical thing. And with the Bengals, I think when we talked about that, I said, Bengals are another team like that. It's similar in the sense that it is just they're just bad always. It seems like they had a couple good years there where they had an awesome team, like one of the best rosters in the league, and they got bounced out of the playoffs pretty early, so nothing really came of it. But Bengals, they stuck with their last coach for years. I mean, right? Like what was they stuck with Marvin Lewis for 10 years, 12 years, something like that.
Well longer than what they probably should have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. Yeah, but I can't, going back to Zach Taylor, man, I just don't know if it's the guy that you can't really justify getting rid of him yet.
No, I do agree.
For a Bieniemy or for any of the top tier, like top cheese coaches, yeah, you could do that. But I mean, anything else, and it's like, why make a lateral move at best?
Yeah. I mean, I was just looked it up, but he was there for 15 years with Cincinnati from 2003 to 2018. I get that. I do. And look, if the Bengals move on from Zach Taylor, you're not getting any of the top coaching options. Joe Brady will hold out for a better job. Arthur Smith will hold out for a better job. These young guys, like honestly, Zach Taylor probably should have held out for a better job, but Zach Taylor saw his chance and he took it. But I mean, these guys that feel like they're on the right track to a great coaching gig. Look what Kyle Shanahan did. Kyle Shanahan waited. He could have gotten a coaching job earlier. He waited for the right gig. Proved his stuff, and then when the 49ers come knocking, they great franchise with great history. Yeah, okay, I believe in it, and a great deal too.
That's
he pretty much got everything he wanted out of the deal. All right, are you good? Anywhere you want to go with the Bengals?
No, take care of Burrow.
Take care of Burrow. All right, guys, that is it. We just closed the book on the Chargers. We closed the book on the Panthers. We closed the book on the Cincinnati Bengals, and we closed the book on the Lions. Great episode. We hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a deep dive into some of these teams that nobody's talking about right now, which is always fun. And like I said, I've talked about it a couple times. You can go check out the full conversation with the Lions. We did like 35 minutes on the Lions. Next week, we're going to have a great show for you guys today. We are not doing our picks this week. We are going to post them in the description though. All right. So you can get our full picks. We will have our locks, everything like that. We made the picks. We're just not going to talk about them. Because honestly, it would be a disservice to you because essentially you should just do the opposite. We've had a bad run.
It's been a bad few weeks. It has.
We will come back with picks next week, and we're getting to that point where we need to figure out, because I haven't been keeping track.
We got to rebound.
Yeah, we need to rebound, and we need to figure out who is winning in our picks week to week. Like who. At the end of the day, one of us gets to punch the other one in the nuts. So, just kidding. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please, press the little bell button. Do all the things on the podcast front. Subscribe to every video. Like it. Leave a comment. All that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Peace out, guys.
7.